Yeah, homecoming at Murray State, it's a very special day. We have so many great alumni back, a lot of former players, just the whole campus community as a whole. I know Dr. Patterson, our Alumni Association, is already making homecoming a big deal, which is nice. Expect a great crowd, but can't say enough about our crowd support we've had already this year. But, it's going to be really fun for our young men to be able to play in front of their family, friends, and a big homecoming crowd.
This is also a place where y'all played your best ball so far. You
Yeah.
got to be excited about getting home.
Yeah, we've had some interesting travel this year, some faraway places, but it's nice to take a plane to Youngstown State, and didn't get back quite as late as some of those earlier season travels. So, but yes, we have played better at home, and you always hope that you're going to play better at home. You're familiar with the settings and not having to travel, and I always tell our players, anytime you get a chance to play in front of your family and friends and stuff, it's special.
To start like Saturday, how much do you drill into your players' heads that you can do this?
Yeah, every week, I still believe in this team and believe in what we're building. I believe they believe in that too. Saturday wasn't our best ball. We actually started good. That was kind of our challenge, to fix the starting fast. And we started fast, and a great job by Jim Ogle and Lucas DiGiorno converting, the fourth down pop pass we were able to hit there. Unfortunately, that was didn't have enough of those bright spots Saturday. Give Youngstown State credit, their quarterback, Brent Garden, he's unbelievable, probably a Walter Payton Award winner, and he really had a great game Saturday, and we didn't play our best defense, and he definitely took advantage of it. But, we got to improve this week. I felt like Saturday was probably the one time all year I didn't feel like we played with a lot of great discipline. We had a lot of unforced errors, pre-snap penalties, alignment issues, and just some stuff after the ball that we can't have that. And I, challenged our guys this week. I hope we got all the silly, stupid penalties out of the way, because when you play, top 15 teams, you can't afford those, especially on the road.
But yeah, that's something y'all had not been doing. You were the number one in the conference. I think you still are. What have y'all been doing that's been right on that part?
Yeah, we try to emphasize that in practice, and kind of demand, if we have a bad, snap or something, get the player out, and everybody kind of sees makes the mistake, and just accountability, on defense. And, I felt like we had some guys that were probably, competing, fighting hard, but when the whistle blows, you better stop. And sometimes, if you're carrying it past the whistle, the second guy's always going to get caught. Unfortunately, we did some of ours at the middle of the field where the whole stadium can see it. And, so we got to clean that up, and some penalties that we're not gonna play that type of football, and I hope we got all of them out of the way this past weekend.
Talk about SIU. Is it a unique little rivalry here, closest school to you guys, and then you have a former Murray State guy across from you, maybe not one of yours, but still a former Murray State guy. Talk about that rivalry.
Yeah, got a lot of respect for Coach Hill. I think he has done an absolutely amazing job there at Southern Illinois, and I think, you watched their team last year. I know they had some injuries and probably kept them from, making a run at the national championship last year, because they had that type of caliber team. And, they lost some really good players. He did an excellent job of bringing in some more good players, and they returned a lot of good players. But I definitely think, watching them on tape, they're not only going to be a playoff team, they're going to be a team competing for the national championship. And it starts with DJ, the quarterback. And, I'd watched him on some tape when I was, in the process of taking this job. And I sure wish he'd have been here when I showed up. But, because he's a special player, and everybody around here says great things about him, what type of young man he is, and got to meet him this year at the conference media days, and first class young man. But he's as advertised. He can beat you with his his brain, with his arm, with his legs. And Coach Hill does a great job, their offense of using his skill sets, and along with he's got some very talented receivers and running backs and offensive line, and they do a good job of probably one of the most explosive offenses in FCS football, and it starts with him at the quarterback. And he's had some really good games this year, and they can move the ball down the field on you, and they also got the ability to whether it's him or some of their playmakers, they can go 80 yards in a play. You know, they've got explosive guys, so we're gonna have to tackle well. We got to get lined up and play some sound football, and we're gonna have to be creative and try to do some things to slow them down. But it's gonna be a big challenge for our defense.
I know y'all didn't have a whole lot of success with Brungard, but you didn't let him beat you running too well. What were y'all doing there?
Yeah, we tried to, I thought we did a good job of trying to cage our rush, and try to keep him contained. And you'd rather take a chance of making somebody throw because they got a number one, execute the catch and a lot of different things, and executing a passing play than a run play. But, I did think we did a good job containing him in the run, but he absolutely took advantage and made some beautiful throws. Sometimes I thought we had good coverage and they made plays. Sometimes Tom Zach caught a couple of digs in the middle, and man, we couldn't hit him any harder or better. And he hung on to the football, and credit them for making some plays. And a couple times we thought we had perfect coverages called, and they executed, and we got to do a better job of executing the coverage. And as coaches, it starts with me and our defensive staff. We got to keep working to be elite in some of our calls, and especially when you play against really good players, you better bring your best. And at times Saturday we gotta elevate the play. And like I said, probably back-to-back weeks we will be playing two of the best, I think, guys that should be playing for the Walter Payton, the Heisman of FCS, and these two quarterbacks right here are as good as any two in the country.
Looking at their SIU's film, where is the strength that you guys have against their defense?
Yeah, the defense is very talented. Shug Walker that played here, another guy I wish that would have been here when I showed up, but he was all over the field against us last year. He is a tackling machine, and another young man that everybody speaks highly of around here in our program. And Coach Hill and their defensive staff, they've done a good job of reloading some guys on defense. And they've got, their front is really good, really active. They do a good job getting off blocks, getting their hands up. Last week they did a good job pressuring the quarterback, hit the quarterback a lot. So we're going to have to they did a really good job. One thing that pops out is their run stunts. They do a good job when you're trying to run zones and reading out your stunts and twisting. And, they make it very hard on your offensive line, number one, because of they're a talented group, but number two, they're well coached, and they also have a really good scheme that that junks up the front, or I call it, and it just, you better have a disciplined offensive line and smart and veteran. And we're going to be probably playing with 3 true freshmen that got some of their first action last week. So, and a couple guys that are banged up on the offensive line, but we got next man up, and hopefully this week we can find 5 guys that we can get ready to play. And but it's going to be definitely a challenge running the ball against them. Their defense, though, they're talented in the secondary as well. Their safeties trigger really fast. They close on the ball, and so not a lot of weaknesses. So we're going to be up some late nights trying to find a way to get some first downs.
What's the coaching staff's main messaging towards the team to make sure they're mentally ready for the last leg of the season?
Yeah, and I told our guys, I really love, I apologize to the seniors. I said, I know y'all didn't sign up for this, and it's on me as the head coach to get us wins, and we don't have many right now. So it's but this group, they come to work every day. They got a good spirit, and yes, they've embraced Anthem. Yes, we get to play a challenging schedule, but it's also an opportunity to get some big wins on that where we put the horseshoes out here for big wins, and every week you get an opportunity. Anytime you beat a top 25 team, hopefully you can pull that off. You get a chance to do that, but the attitude's been great, and just challenging the guys to hey, we got 4 games left, and we need everybody's best, and it's a great opportunity, homecoming. And, we owe it to these seniors to give our best, and a lot of young players, it's a great opportunity for them. We got a lot of guys that'll be playing Saturday that haven't played. We'll have a few that haven't played all year, so you can play in 4 games and still keep your red shirt. Unfortunately, because of some injuries and stuff, we'll have some guys probably making their college debut Saturday, and but it'll be a great opportunity then to play 4 games. And we were able to play some guys last year. It's kind of a similar situation when we played SIU last year, and I challenged our team. I said, hey, that was credit to them. They got after us last year and beat us in all three phases and coaching and everything else you could throw on a football field when we went up there last year. So we need to bounce back from our loss this past week and put it to bed, improve and the things that probably led to that loss we got to improve, whether it's tackling or pre-snap penalties and try to find a way to. We're going to practice hard each week, and I told them it's going to get harder and harder, and the standard's going to go up, and we got to find a way to put three phases of 4-quarter football together.
But there's no doubt that this season's team is better than that last season's team against SIU, right?
Yes, I feel like we're sometimes 20 or 30 points better than we were last year at times, and we didn't show that Saturday. And SIU last year, that was probably the most disappointing game last year of the whole season. And credit to them, they came out, and played an unbelievable game. And, I didn't think we played great and we didn't play up to the standard. I challenged our team that we're going to play around here at Murray State, and I was embarrassed and told the players that came back this season, I hope they were embarrassed the way we played last year, and I believe they are. And, fortunately we get a chance this week to try to, improve on that bad performance. But, I think our players, like I said, this team covered in. Coach Hill's got them playing at a high level, and I think they're going to be not only a playoff team but a national championship contender. So, we gotta find a way, and it's going to be some late nights this week trying to find a way to get a first down and keep them from getting first downs and touchdowns.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank y'all.